I'm very excited to hear the response to this week's episode of Dune Prophecy, the penultimate episode, episode 5, In Blood, Truth, because it feels like I go on Twitter every week and I go under the hashtag and everyone is saying like, oh my god, this is the best show ever, and that's just not the experience that I'm having. If that's you, please let me know your thoughts. But personally, I've been trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, but since we're in the home stretch now, I've seen enough. Like, I think there comes a time in every man's life where he has to ask himself if he's watching a glorified CW show. But let's discuss. Per usual, we will recap and comment on the events of the episode, and then at the end we'll do like overall thoughts and what we think is going to happen down the line. So this is your official spoiler warning if you have not seen episode 5 of Dune Prophecy. So following the last episode, Emperor Havako is in full dictator mode. We see an early version of the Sardaukar. He names Desmond his Bashar, or essentially like his right-hand man, and they're trying to smother this rebellion movement. Enter Taboo, a very famous Indian actress. I know a lot of people were really excited to see her in this. She is Sister Francesca, who is Emperor Havako's ex/Constantine's biological mother. I think she's been alluded to in previous episodes, but this is the first time she's actually shown up. So Natalia is like, are you fucking kidding me? Havako is like, hubba hubba. And I get it, bro. No imprinting needed. I would fold in an instant. We then jump to Wallach 9, and Jen is pulled out of the class they're doing or whatever to help Tula take care of Lila as she recovers from her resurrection. The reason for this being that Jen still hasn't experienced these nightmares, potentially meaning that she could be immune to prescience, which is a thing, but it's not really addressed as that. But Tula asks for her discretion, and Lila is screaming. Her foremothers are rattling around in her head, but through the power of friendship, Jen calms her down. We then get a conversation between Francesca and Constantine, and she finds out that it wasn't him who sent her a message and that Kasha has died. Baron Harrow Harkonnen goes and talks to Desmond, essentially kicking off Valia's plan. He apologizes for launching the inquiry and convinces him that they have a common enemy in Valia and therefore the Sisterhood. So they do some space cocaine, and Harrow tells him about this underground market where the rebels are selling spice in order to fund the rebellion. And then Desmond gives him this little like electric orb. We are on episode 5. I can't be shown mysterious orbs right now. It is too late for mysterious orbs. Then Francesca and Valia chat, and they work out their plan that Valia will try and distract Desmond in the meantime, while Francesca can use her imprinting techniques to get Emperor Havako to put Constantine in charge of his new fleet. Kieran reports to Michaela that Desmond is on the prowl. They have another exchange about Kieran putting Inez over the mission of the rebellion, which is such like a nothing burger subplot at this point, but it will come up a couple more times in this episode. But Michaela has these little bombs that they're going to use and try and take Desmond out when he finds their spice supply. On Wallach 9, we see the handoff of Desmond's blood that Valia has shipped back, and we get Lila's spiel about the gaping maw of Shai Hulud and how she foresaw the reckoning, and if quote-unquote he succeeds, humanity will backslide into self-destruction. And so Jen realizes that she's not Lila, it's Mother Raquella speaking. This is a good example of the concepts that I think are more unique to Dune and like really cool to dive into that we're kind of rushing through, or at least not showing most of. Like Lila's struggle with this abomination and possession mostly happens off camera. But anyways, they go to see Tula, and Reverend Mother Raquella looks at the data, and I can't believe this. I'm gonna skip forward a couple scenes because what she discovers is them basically making fear is the mind killer literal by identifying a pathogen in the sample of Kasha's brainstem that Raquella says is similar to something that she had seen during the machine wars that was created by Omnius, and it attacks the fear center of the brain. And she calls it a genetically modified airborne RNA retrovirus. What? I guess like, okay, but how do they actually burn? If it's a virus, how is Desmond administering it and doing it across planets and doing it on command? We'll talk about some of those questions at the end of this, but then we get it confirmed or reaffirmed that Baron Harrow was actually not betraying Valia and was setting Desmond up to be distracted so that Francesca can come in and influence Havako. Harrow is becoming a little more interesting, a little more than meets the eye. Like, I like that he's willing to play the game, and we get this kind of funny exchange between him and Valia where he's like, basically, I know you killed your uncle. Then we get such an epic writing moment where Theodosia, who was the biggest part or the biggest surprise of last week's episode, becomes the audience proxy for her like one line where she asks how Francesca factors into all of this, and Valia gives her like the dictionary definition of imprinting, like she's looking directly into the camera. Then Desmond arrives at the bar where Kieran and Michaela are and ransacks the place, but as we know, this is a setup to kill him, so the bombs are in place. We get some of the slowest, clunkiest action I've ever seen. They set off the bombs right after Desmond discovers the sisterhood dress in the spice, which is proof that they're involved, and he survives the explosion because he activates his shield, and I'm not the first to question whether shields can actually do this and protect you from something like this. If they can, I don't mind that, but in the event that it's going to be used as a way to explain how he survived the sandworm attack, that's a different story. I think that would be kind of stupid. But Kieran then finds out that Michaela is a sister, and they have a falling out. He says, "Never let me see you again." Then we get a quick scene of Jen challenging Tula about using Lila for the sisterhood's gain, and she says, "What have you sacrificed?" And Tula mysteriously says, "More than you can ever imagine." A child, perhaps? We'll get there. We get another conversation between Francesca and Constantine, where she tells him his purpose is to protect Inez, the future leader of the Imperium, from anyone who wants to do her harm. I feel like there are like twice as many like 1-minute cutscenes in this episode than usual. Then we see Valia meeting with Michaela, and Theo is also there. Somehow Desmond Hart has survived. Michaela does a little bit of talking back here, which is a big deal to do to the Mother Superior, but she feels like Valia hasn't pulled through, considering how detrimental the bar incident was. Valia wants to send her to a safe house on Arrakis, but she says she won't betray the Fremen. Then she basically warns Theo that she shouldn't blindly follow Valia. Constantine finds evidence of the rebellion just openly sitting out in Kieran's unlocked locker and turns him in because he wants Daddy's approval, and sure enough, it works. Havako allows Constantine to command the fleet. This is all very sad for Inez because she loves Kieran, but Constantine has also fully been brought onto the Emperor's side, whereas Inez is much more critical of what her family is doing. Natalia also realizes that she's been totally dethroned here, so she has to figure something out. Inez then goes to interrogate Kieran a little bit where he's locked up, and I don't think she would be allowed to go see him like this, but I'm also confused as to whether we're legitimately supposed to be invested in them as a romantic subplot. But she uses truth sense to confirm that he is true to his mission, and they align on that. So are they gonna team up somehow? I don't know what's going on here. In trying to recover, Natalia then goes to see Desmond and establishes that they both hate the sisterhood, and she kisses him. This is cross-cut with Havako and Francesca having this intimate moment. I like the rainbow flare. But it's shocking how much I just don't care about this. And I think it's because I'm like, to what end? They're all moving pieces on the board to have power, but I don't know what that actually means in the context of the show. There's no established larger goal or finish line. They're all just kind of doing stuff. But anyways, we close the episode per usual with our big reveal of the week, that Desmond Hart is not only the product of the Harkonnen and Atreides bloodlines, but that he is the son of Tula Harkonnen and Ori Atreides. Tula presumably got pregnant on the night that we saw in the flashback a couple episodes ago, and this brings a new meaning as well to the once in blood, once in spice line, right? Because he was conceived on the night that Tula murdered a bunch of people out of vengeance against the Atreides. So I like that part of it, but overall this just feels kind of underwhelming. For all the bits of lore that they've incorporated, this big ultimate secret that they've kept under wraps is basically exactly what the deal is with Paul. And I get it, like it's a prevalent theme and a prevalent battle between these houses in the Dune universe and creating the Kwisatz Haderach and all of that. But maybe it's because it puts a wrench in the timeline. Like if we had known that this mixture of bloodlines had happened before, surely that would be relevant. And the fact that this entire plan and all the secrecy was just because his mom abandoned him, and now we have to find out why, and I assume Tula won't just want to kill Desmond now, and we have to have a final confrontation with the rebels and the Imperium and between Desmond and Valia. And what about the whole secret with Sister Dorothea's murders? I'm sure she will occupy Lila at some point, and the conflicting ideologies in the sisterhood, and we still don't know exactly why Desmond even has these powers and what even happened to him on Arrakis. We haven't seen Theo's abilities come into play yet, and that was very obviously set up for the final episode. And oh my god, what is that little orb? It's so odd. I feel like there's like no arc. They're just like continuously introducing new things and new things. And now we're at the last episode. We have an hour, maybe an hour and a half left of the entire season. And I have zero clue how they're going to bring all of this to a satisfying ending. And it's possible all of this doesn't get concluded. I don't know if the plan was for them to do multiple seasons, and it's not a bad thing for there to be a multi-season arc happening, but I also don't see the show getting renewed, if I'm honest, just based on viewership alone. So overall, this episode was a downer for me because, again, I've been trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, but there's only one episode left, and I just feel like the writing is weak. I feel like they're trying to incorporate as many concepts from the books as possible, and it's doing a disservice to all of them. And the Desmond thing isn't all bad. I still do feel like there's a big possibility he is like a Gola or some sort of Tleilaxu something, because he has this ability that seems to be like a created virus, and his eye looks like he could have been rebuilt in some way after the incident on Arrakis. But let me know your thoughts on episode 5 of Dune Prophecy, guys. If you are loving the show, that's awesome. Let me know why you are. If you have some issues with it, let me know what they are. If you're one of the people who told me you're just watching these and not actually watching the show, thank you. But I will see you guys next week for the finale, and I'll also do a video reviewing the season as a whole after that. So don't forget to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.